Today's topic is for military couples. We're going to talk about how to military-proof your next deployment. If you're in the military and you're married, that can be really difficult, especially when you get sent away. So I'm here with Alex. He's a fighter pilot with the Air Force. So Alex, first of all, thanks for serving and for being here. And you've got some things to help us through. But before we get to that, how many deployments have you lost count? How many deployments have you been on?
Yeah, so done 3 of them now. We've been married for 8 years, 12 years in the military so far, but tons of TDYs mixed in there. So somewhere around 4 years separated in our 8-year marriage is kind of where we're at this point.
And is that pretty average, pretty normal?
Yeah, I think that's fairly normal. Differs career field to career field, but I think that's about par for most guys.
For you, when you're deployed, how long can it be typically?
Yeah, so fortunately we luck out a little bit in the Air Force. 6 to 7 months is usually our max, but other services it can be up to a year.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk through some of these points, and then you can talk through those points watching the video. And the first thing you mentioned is be ready to be gone because it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is just one of those things that you have to be ready to make a plan for. If you let it jump up and bite you, it's going to cause a lot of stress in your marriage. So you're going to get deployed. It's part of your life. You lost a little bit of control when you sign on. And if you don't prepare yourself and your wife for it, you're just asking for another stressor to enter your marriage. And it's just like planning for any tactical game plan in the military. It's the same thing. So make your plan towards sort of the most likely, but have contingencies ready for the most dangerous courses of action.
Yeah, and the good news is if they're watching this video, maybe with a mentor, with a group, or just with their spouse, then they're starting to plan, because that's what we're going to be talking about. In fact, the next thing you talk about is having a good financial plan with the extra money especially, right? Because when you go on deployment, you get some extra money, you get some bonus money, but what should you do with that money?
Yeah, so I think if, there's 2 things that ruin most marriages. It's either sex or it's money. So you can do a lot to mitigate the chances of money being an issue for you in the military by knowing that the second you leave, Murphy's Law is probably going to cause a lot of things to go wrong. Pretty much every deployment I've ever gone on, within the first week that I left, something major in the house is broke. And I could have easily fixed that if I was home, but now you got a wife who's dealing with a career and kids running around and all that kind of stuff, and you got to be ready to deal with those contingency expenses to take that stress out of your life. You just don't want that to be the thing that you're dealing with while you're separated from your spouse.
So you're saying don't just plan on gambling away all the extra income you made on deployment, right?
Yeah, you bet.
Maybe put it to better.
There's a little bit of money there in addition when you leave, but man, does it go faster. At least that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, that's good. Well, the next point, I love this one, is make an extra effort to communicate while you're gone, right? It's not a break where you communicate less. You have to be more intentional about it.
Yeah, you bet. So obviously we have a lot of friends over the course of our career being in the military who have gotten divorced. And I think just from all the people we've known, it happened because they stopped communicating. So sometimes it has to happen because you're in a classified location or prepping for a big mission. But if you are not making an extra effort more than you do on a daily basis to stay in your wife's life and your kid's life, that's how you start to lose the game very quickly when you're overseas. So even when you know you're not going to be able to talk for a week or so, you've got to find ways to make it happen, whether that be emails that you queue in advance, letters that you send home, buddies that you tell about that so they're looking out for your wife. All those things kind of fill that void.
Can that be hard when you're with your God, when you're on mission, you're doing stuff, you're busy, you're focused, right? Is it easy to kind of think out of sight, out of mind with your spouse or your kids?
Absolutely, out of sight, out of mind. But for them, they're worrying about you every single day. So if you're not doing the same for them back home, you really got kind of an unbalanced relationship there. So I think you owe it to them.
Yeah, that's good. We got time for one more, and I love this one. You say, be careful to reestablish norms when you get home. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so reunions are great. I mean, every time I've come back from a long separation, 6 months or so, those first 2 weeks are some of the best times in our marriage. Obviously, seeing the kids, seeing the wife, reestablishing that relationship is great. But the tendency, I think, for most guys in the military is to walk back into that relationship and apply the same level of authority that you apply in your job. And they've established norms while you've been gone. So you need to work to reset those norms as a couple and as a family. Otherwise, you're going to come in and sort of, their life has changed while you've been gone. Your life has changed relative to them. You got to reestablish that relationship and work hard to do it, not just let it happen. That's where stress is going to build.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm sure there's so many more tips you can give us, but these are 4 great ones. So if you're watching this with a mentor, with a group, or even just with your spouse, we'll put some questions below so you can talk about it and really prepare for that deployment so that your marriage actually is strengthened on the other side of it instead of weakened. So use those questions. We'll see you in the next video.